welcome to yet another conversation with Talent Talks by Mentor Quad. Today on the hot seat we have Rajat Sanan. He's a L&D leader with 22 years of experience in this space, ever evolving. In his current role, he serves as the learning and development head for SG Analytics, and we will learn about that from him in a moment. Let me invite Rajat. Thank you, Rajat, for being with us. Super excited to be part of this conversation. And please introduce yourself and your career as it pans out today.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Anuradha, for welcoming me to this opportunity and having a conversation with you with MentorCard Talent Talks. So, very briefly, my name is Rajat Sanan. I come with more than 22 years experience in the L&D domain. And I am somebody who is a very inquisitive person, and I think that is what makes my role very interesting for me. My role at SG Analytics, I am responsible for the learning strategy and the university college relations for the organization. Uh, my role at SG Analytics is also based about making the organization into a learning organization. And that's what I run with. And it's an interesting and exciting place to be. And I will talk more about what we do at SG Analytics and how we are building the future ready organization at SG Analytics.
So, thank you so much, and that's pretty much my next ask from you to say, tell us what does SG Analytics do, what kind of skill and talent requirements you have, and then I'm equally curious to know what's the role that you and your team is playing. I'm sure it's not an easy one. So yeah, let's get there.
Sure, sure. So, Anuradha, when we talk about SG Analytics, we although are called as analytics, but that is not the only thing that we do. When we talk about SG Analytics, we do multiple business lines, but all of them are actually connected with data. And that is how data analytics is what is our main theme. We have investment banking operations, we have equity research, we have market research, we have ESG, and we have data analytics, data engineering, and data science. So we are an 18-year-old organization, purely an Indian organization, but a global footprint. And in the last 18 years, started as the first employee who was our chairman to what we are today as 1,500 employees across different countries. We service majorly Fortune 500 companies based out of the American and the European markets. So that is SG Analytics for you.
Perfect. And yeah, I think in a space like that for 18 years, I'm sure the organization definitely have seen evolving, industry and the market. Now, speaking of which, because we generally speak of evolving requirements from the organizations as companies grow, as their business lines grow, and so on and so forth. So how does how do you then get your talent ready for it? Do you find ready talent? And if you we talking of continuous learning and lifelong learning, tell us about that as you shape the talent scene within the organization, Rajat.
Sure, sure. So, Anuradha, when we talk about our talent readiness at SG Analytics, like I said, we only service the Fortune 500 companies. We service the best clients. And what is our business is this talent. So we always are in the need of the best talent, people who are ready, job ready, future ready. And as an organization also, we always are looking at opportunities to upskill our people because what you have done yesterday is not what you will do tomorrow. So, whatever is the skill set that you started with is not something that you will continue with. Just to add to it, when we talk about SG Analytics, and I spoke about different lines of businesses, but there are certain common skill sets that we need people to have. There are basically analytical skills, which comes in as a very important one. wherein we need people to have data interpretation and quantitative analysis as one of the things. We also need technical proficiencies because these are different line of business to be a great talent. What we look at is always the best people possible to do that role. And we believe at the standard problem of buy versus build, we believe in building talent. So we definitely go to campuses, we also hire lateral people. But as an organization, we provide we talk about building a culture of learning in the organization because an organization can only grow when the people are open to learning. And that's what we keep doing. We keep looking at our employees, we keep looking at their skill sets, and we keep seeing how we can make them better at what they do. And that's why we give them those opportunities wherein they can become a better version of themselves. That's how we ensure that as an organization, we are future ready.
I'm sure it's not as easy as it sounds, or at least you make it sound. But this is ever evolving, as important as any business, whether technology driven or not, but transitioning and transforming with times and with technology. So what's and maybe not just in the SG context, but generally from your own career span of 22 years and where we are today as HR practitioner, as L&D practitioners, the impact that you possibly have already felt and seen and brought in, uh, plus what's going to change or what you see, the linkages or evolving space of L&D and technology or learning and technology. So how do you kind of make some predictions about that, or your own experiences, Rajat, in that space is what I'm curious about.
Sure, sure. So what we do, Anuradha, is yes, it is not an easy one, but it is not something which is not possible. And we are able to do that because we have a buy-in from the topmost level. When we say the topmost level, our board, our management teams, our CXOs, everyone understands the impact and importance of learning. And that is why learning is not being looked at as something which is only about completing numbers or filling up forms. Learning is something which is looked at as a life skill. See, in my career of 22 years, I made this transition into learning because I looked at learning not only as providing skill sets to people to do their current job, but giving them a skill set which will help them do better in future. And that's exactly what we do at SG Analytics. That whenever we get a new person, we onboard a new person, we have their onboarding, different types of onboarding. We do their company onboarding where we talk about the vision, mission, values of the organization. We get interaction with our senior most leaders, but we also do a functional onboarding. And these functional onboarding programs are primarily driven by the managers and the technical subject matter experts. And the idea is that the individuals who are going through the program, they become ready in the shortest time possible. Again, this is something that I have seen in my career that we would get the people in and then we would say, okay, you start your work, we'll see what are your challenges, and then we will address it. But at SG Analytics, we want our people to be ready from day zero. And that is why we have something called as a program which is RISE, which is Rapid Integration and Skill Enhancement, which program is actually looking at the softer aspects of things because I'm sure you have been hearing a lot about soft skills is no longer soft. They are the most important hard skills that everybody needs. So at SG Analytics, as part of the RISE program, we help them know about the softer aspects and the functional onboarding helps them know about their line of business, what is it that they need to do. So we do a holistic development of individuals. And that is what and how their journey starts at SG Analytics. We don't stop upskilling our employees. A lot of organizations where I have worked, it has always been about you only get individuals when they are in the initial stage. After they have done everything, then it's up to the managers, up to the business to take care of that. But here we are hand in glove with the business teams and we help our employees upskill themselves at every stage of their life cycle in the organization. And that's how we make all our employees future ready.
Super. So, and in terms of what you attract, how you how you bring people into SG, do you, or at the time and place that you bring them in, do you see a huge gap, Rajat, that you have to really invest in their upskilling and readiness to be able to perform at the level that, say, the organization requires, or do you find them like, what's the gap between what you find out there in the market from campuses, and so on and so forth, so before they kind of get in, and then how much of that effort is, and what kind of commitment does it require, both from the organization and from the individual? How do you kind of bridge that?
So when we talk about hiring any new talent, see, like I said, we work with the best companies, the Fortune 500 companies. Every company has a different requirement. So you will never get somebody who will exactly know everything. If we need four skill sets, you will get somebody who is very good in two, and two skill sets, there is an area of improvement. So we don't want people to be perfect when we get them in. We can always build them to that level. And that is why we need to do that. Also, it is very important that people should get an opportunity. That is something that every employee looks for, that when they join an organization, fresher or lateral, what is it that the organization is giving to me in addition to all my compensation and benefits? What is the opportunities given to me to become a better professional? And that is what we believe in at SG Analytics. And these programs are done so that they can become a better version. I'm sure we all have heard, what got you here won't get you there. So you are looked at initially with your current skill set, and we see, okay, the person is not in all skill sets, but there are some skill sets which can be built over a period of time, and there are some skill sets which they already have. So we always have that thing, we get them in and we build those skill sets for them. When it comes to campus, you can never have a skill set ready. What you need is the learning agility, the readiness to learn, the openness to learn, ready to stretch themselves, ready to shine. If you don't have that fire in the belly, then you will never be what you are. And that is what we look for when we look at people from campuses. It's not only about their technical skills. Again, something that I have seen over the years. When you go for campuses, we always only look at technical skills and we only look at technical competencies. That is just half the picture. And in great organizations, it is not only about your technical skills, it's also about what is it that you bring to the table? What is it that we can do? Because you are just starting your career. So is it that the organization can shape you into a better version? And that's what we do and what we look at when we are looking at individuals from the campus programs. And for lateral, in addition to technical, we always look at, again, their openness to work in a different environments. The environment in any industry is not the same in every company. Even if there is 10 companies in, let's say, IT, ITS, the environment will not be exactly the same. So we might pick up somebody from an existing player. When they come in, they might see a difference. So we have to make them ready for that. So that's why upskilling plays an important role, and we always get that buy-in and support from the leadership team and from the managers as well.
Super. So, and in that context, in terms of teams like yours, which is L&D, a COE in itself, while a lot of organizations can possibly afford a structure like that, or experts like you in the organization, and always partnering with the business to kind of make it happen. How do you how do you think organizations that possibly don't have that setup kind of still stay on this learning agility or learning for life? How do those interventions come in? And I'm possibly getting in a space of the existing, the LMSs of the world and other online forums or other wherever, right? All these resources. So how do you help us connect this, right? There is so much in that space. I'm one individual, and I'm there are resources within the organization, possibly there are things outside. How does one kind of make sense of this? And I'll follow it up with a question to say a organization like Mentorcart, and where there are all kinds of initiatives to bring in learning together, bespoke to the organization, generic to the client, customer, or the student. So how do you kind of connect some of this from a relevance standpoint, Rajat?
Absolutely, Anuradha. So this is a problem which has been there. It has always been there, and it still stays. The role of a learning professional in any organization, it should not be limited to only doing logistics and managing numbers of coverage and everything. And that's how some of the organizations look at learning, just complete the numbers, get the feedback forms. And when you talk about the content which is available in the open world, we have so many of these service providers who have so much of content, and that's what actually created the problem of plenty. When we talk about the early 2000, that was the world of the MOOC. You had big companies, Udemy, Coursera, and everyone, they coming in, and many other organizations saying, I have so much of content, just take my subscription. That doesn't help. The human brain and an individual does not even know what is it that they need. And that is what the role of the learning professional or the learning and development team is. The gone are the days of content creation. It is all about curation. And that is when these providers and the MOOCs which have so much of content, you need somebody who understands what is that content and how does it marry to the requirement of the organization. And that's exactly what we did at SG Analytics as well. We also have an LMS. Whenever you start with an LMS, the first thing is you go out and you find an off-shelf library, because when you have an LMS, you need some content on it. But the challenge, why will somebody go and do that program? So you need to curate it in a learning pathway. You need to create it in a format that people know, okay, if I do this program, yes, this is how it will lead to something. And that's what we as learning professionals do. Even in smaller organizations, which might not have experts in the sense people with experience. See, because of my experience of more than 2 decades, seen a lot. I started as a very traditional trainer, what we call in the old school days of ILT, instructor-led training. And I realized in 2015 that the world is going to change. And that is when I transitioned to the other side, where I started understanding more about digital learning and understanding the power of technology. EDX was actually the first one, because they were the first ones to understand they have such good content and everybody wants to do Harvard or one of those Ivy League colleges, right? But not everybody can make it. So they said, no problem, we will provide you the content. But that's what actually created the problem, because you would not believe, I did a course on IoT. What was the need of me to do a course on IoT? I just thought I want to understand about IoT, so I did it. So I am somebody who's a anomaly, but people normally would say we will only spend our time into something if I'm going to get something out of it and I become better at what I'm doing currently. So that is what these platforms created the problem. But with the new partners coming in and they understanding that this problem of plenty is there now, curation became their main thing. And that is where you need a learning professional who is able to articulate and marry the two. And that is when you will have a success. Even if you have a very small training team, you don't have very evolved learning leaders. If you understand the problems of the organization, you will be able to identify the correct courses for your employees, and which will lead to upskilling of your employees.
No, I think yeah, that's quite relevant in terms of the problem of plenty. I would say, right? It's overwhelming to find. You search for something, and then there are there's so much available, and I think even before I stop because you don't know which one's then the right thing. And so that's that. Let's also talk about a lot of this, the conversations around learning, having a self drive to learn or an inherent level of curiosity to be able to just go and kind of look for newer stuff or engaging stuff. But that's not how all of us are oriented, right? A lot of us possibly didn't like reading, didn't like school. A lot of stuff was more that you have to do it as a tick in the box. But now, when one is a professional out there, technology disrupting every space, every skill, every if not sooner than 6-8 months. How do you think an organization can really create an engaging learning culture, Rajat? And you can speak from your experience. I'm not just speaking of HG as such, but yeah, give us some examples that you've possibly led, made an impact, and something that you would actually tell or want to advise those who are listening. One is students or professionals, young professionals who are starting their career, but also experts from the industry to say learning is no longer, like you said, right? It's not something that you bring people into a classroom or just do a tick in the box. So how do you, and I do believe that we can create a lot of engagement purely through a continuous learning agenda, right? And it doesn't just have to be fun in lunches and dinners, right? So bring that perspective for us.
Sure, sure. So let me take a little step back as to why we don't look at learning. Why don't we have a learning agility? I'm going to say something which might not be taken very well, but I would blame my education system. My education system is built to only award people who can write the best answer. If you ask them, even if somebody had scored a 99 and asked them a question which is a practical application of that subject, they will not remember that. And that is where we went wrong. And that thing got ingrained into our system that now when you are working, I'm talking about people like us who have been working for 15 years plus, why would you want to upskill yourself? You are having a job, you are getting your promotions, things are okay, you have a family to take care of, you have so many other things. Who has the time to study? I am no longer a student. I did my studies because that is the education system. But when you see that the person who was 10 years younger to you is much more evolved than what you are today, then this has created that urgency. That is the maybe the fear psychosis, but that is something that is required. If you stop learning, you actually stop growing. That is what I believe, and I keep doing something or the other. The last course that I did was in HR analytics. I'm not in the analytics practice. Yes, I'm with an analytics organization, but I just wanted to understand more. Everybody only looks at learning as a way to increase their uh, value. You should not look at increasing your value. You should look at increasing your worth. Your worth is not monetary. Your worth is much beyond that. I would also, again, I've worked in edtech as well. The edtech world is only encouraging people to do a course and say you get a hike of this much percentage in your compensation. I'll not name the organization. They only promote it that way. That even if you don't have the skill set, somebody who is, let's say, a person who is in a data analytics kind of a role or somebody who's doing that kind of a role, they have that competency. Just because data analytics is the most in thing to do, everybody wants to jump the gun, jump the bandwagon. You don't have to. You have to understand the application of what is happening so that you don't look like somebody who has been living under a stone. Just imagine if you speak to somebody today and tell him and ask him something about Gen AI, and the person says, no, no, I don't know what is Gen AI. You'll be like, where have you been? Because Gen AI or ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini, you need to know about this. You need to also understand how does it influence your industry. Again, something I wanted to understand. I have this inquisitiveness. I did a small course on prompt engineering. This was one of those free courses which you get from one of these. So, what I understood, prompt engineering is just like English. If you write the correct command to your GPT, you will get the output. It's just like Googling. All of us as L&D professionals or as HR professionals or even as students, if you are a student and you have to make a project, there are two students, both of them Google, and their keywords are the same, but the way it has been positioned, the output that both of them will get is different. And that's exactly what is GPT. The same GPT will give a different output to me and will give a different output to you, Anuradha, because the way we have written. So you need to keep understanding how the world is evolving, and I feel AI will never replace us. They will always only help us do more. What what is happening if you look at what AI is doing? It is just taking away the redundant jobs for which you don't need a specific skill set. Anything which is repetitive is what AI is replacing. And this is something which the World Economic Forum report spoke about 2 years back when they spoke about the future skills. When they said that by 2030, there will be so many new profiles and so many new skill sets that a person will be required to have. Because I don't know if they knew AI GPT is coming or not, but they knew that it is evolving. Today, you have people who are engineers and who understand nanotechnology. So you use engineering and nanotechnology together. You have a commerce individual who understands coding. So he will code or make a program which will recommend you the best stocks based on how the markets are performing. That's the power of technology, the power of AI. So people need to keep reading to stay relevant. That is the only way we will stay relevant, because the next generation which has come in, they are 5x or 10x faster than us. The presentations that we used to take hours to make, now they have things like Canva, which makes it in 30 minutes. The younger generation in my team also, I tell them to make a PPT. They don't go to a PowerPoint. They make presentations on Canva because that is the future. And now, when you said, no, I don't know how to use Canva, how will that be? So now I'm trying to make an effort to learn Canva also. So you will build that thing in you, maybe because of fear, so that you are always relevant. That's what I would say is the thing about learning inquisitiveness or the power of AI.
Super. And so the conversations, of course, keep getting interesting, and then we start to run out of time. But as I would always do, I'm going to ask you one, from your experience again, right? What role do you see organizations like Mentorcard play in the learning upskilling space? And what would you kind of see where the companies and service providers like these kind of come together, match, or the needs that they fulfill for each other? So I think that's like my
Sure, sure.
near
So
question.
again, I would talk about, so we spoke about the power of plenty, the problem of plenty. That's where organizations like Mentor Cards come into our rescue. We all don't know what is it that we need. Maybe you don't have a learning professional who understands that line of business or understands that technology. MentorCart will give us those experts, and MentorCart will also give us what is it that we can provide to our employees to upskill in that particular skill or technology. So, uh, in the times to come, you will not have very long drawn, big training teams or learning teams. Uh, Learning teams will be very lean in structure because learning actually, as we are growing and as we are evolving, is going to be driven not by the learning function but by the employees themselves. And that's exactly the vision that I have for my organization. That is when we will really become a learning organization. And when the learning is not just something which is done because you have been asked to do. Learning will be something which will be in your DNA, and that is when partners like MentorCard will come in handy because you don't have the best experts available all the time. You can't be thinking, okay, now I want to do this. Now let me go and look for a partner. If you have a partner like MentorCard, you can always go back to them and they can give us the best option possible for whatever our requirement is. So that is where I would think MentorCard will play a critical role in helping us shape the future of the organization and helping the learning leaders help them do their things better. They're like our extended arm, extended team.
Yeah, yeah, perfect. Super. And with that, my final question, Rajat, and this is from your reflections. The audience is typically, maybe young professionals getting in, starting their careers. They could be, experienced professionals as well. But if you then had to kind of tell or advise or share like top two things from your own reflections that you think they could carry forever, as they build their career, what would that be?
Okay, so definitely I keep talking about this whenever I go to campuses also and I meet up with students. Something that I have observed, not today, it has always been. When you are in college, what is your driving force? Your driving force is not what you want to do. Your driving force is how much CTC am I going to get? Do I really have that skill set? Do I really want to do that job? No, I want to get into this role because it will pay me 1 lakh rupees a month as a starting. So the first thing that you should not do is decide based on how much you want to earn. That is why, the generation which is in school today, what is the top thing they want to do? They want to become a YouTuber. I will become a YouTuber. I will have supercars. I will travel international holidays. I will go to the best of the hotels. I will have the best holidays. That's not how it is. Those are things which come in later. Those are not the things by which you decide what you want to do. So you decide what you want to do based on what is it that you like to do. So I am an insurance graduate, and then after 20 years, I did my post graduation, and I am in learning. I wanted to help people become a better version. And that was always the case. I started my career in sales because that is the only option that I was getting at that point of time. We are talking about early 2000s. We didn't have too many opportunities. I never looked at what is the place where I will get the maximum money. So I was an insurance graduate. I joined an insurance company. So don't start with the end in your mind. I will get a salary. I will do that. The second thing that you should not do, in which I am seeing a lot, which I just spoke a little while back, all these certifications. There is certifications on Excel, on Power BI, on Tableau, any new technology, learn coding, let's do Python. Why? Because everybody is doing it. I go to a college and it's an MBA finance batch. And the question they ask me, Should I do a course on Python? Now, what's your use? What is it that you want to become? Now, I want to become an equity analyst. Why do you need Python? Yes, maybe in the future, because if you know Python and you understand finance, you can build an algo and you can actually create a new product. But people don't look at it that way because all my friends are doing the certification and the people on Insta are also advertising. You do this course with us, give us only 3 hours of your day, and you'll become and you will have an increase in your compensation. That's the bad, that's a wrong thing. So, two things: don't work, don't look at your job based on the compensation, and don't look at certifications based on what everybody is doing today. Everybody today is doing these technologies. They will not even use it. First, you master the basic Excel. People don't even know Excel. I see new employees come into the organization. Do you know Excel? No. But I want to know Python. I want to know Power BI. It's these are just keywords, buzzwords which are being there. And this is all being done thanks to our Google AdWords, because they have created so many of these master trainers on these technologies. They also want this ecosystem that the people who they have certified and trained, they are able to go out and then talk more and share more people, because the more people use their products, the more they will have their revenue. So don't do this mistake.
Super. I
That's
think
all that I have.
that's quite a quite a important one to remember, and I would say not just at the start, but at every step when you choose to kind of take a course on, or decide what more to learn. And while the context here is only from a work or corporate or IT, I think applies to wherever all of us are in and out of work, right? So super. Thank you, Rajat, once again. Top of the hour. But I had a good conversation. I'm sure the audience is also learning from your experiences. I look forward to hosting you again, and it was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you again.
Thank you, Anuradha. It was great talking to you, and thank you for the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.